good evening. I look like a Christmas elf with the rosy cheeks. So I'm in the cinema car park. I'm sat outside the cinema. The cinema closes tomorrow. So if you're watching this in a few days' time, it's closed, which is mad, and I can't really think about it. I came to see a film last night that I haven't reviewed yet. So I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to do the one I've just watched. It's a really tricky one for me because it's opened the whole separating the art from the artist can of worms. Not because of anybody who was in the film, but because of who made the film. So I suppose cancel culture is a newish thing, or rather we have a word for it, but the idea of, a person's work no longer being valid or able to be enjoyed based on things they've done or said is not a recent thing. And yeah, there's a debate about if you enjoy somebody's work but you don't like the person, can you still enjoy their work? And I think there's a big difference between, for example, I don't particularly like Tom Cruise. I think there's something odd about him, the Scientology thing, and yeah, there's just something I think is a bit odd about the guy. So I am not a Tom Cruise fan, but have I enjoyed films that Tom Cruise is in? Yes, I have. I wouldn't go out of my way to watch them because I'm not a Tom Cruise fan, but I really like Top Gun Maverick, bizarrely, even though I don't particularly like Top Gun. I've enjoyed some of the Mission Impossible films. I've enjoyed films that he's been in. And there's rumours about him, and he's a bit of an oddball, but, I don't think he's necessarily, a bad... Is he a bad guy? I don't know. If he was outed as an actual bad guy, then that would change how I feel. But for now, here we are. And it's... The person in question is Mel Gibson, and I wasn't even going to say his name in the video because I didn't want to. So he directed the film I've just been to see. 2.5 minutes in, I haven't even said what it is yet. It's Flight Risk. As I was saying about the cruiser, there's a difference between has done really bad things that have been proven and therefore, you then can't enjoy their work anymore, versus there's rumours. And the thing with Mel Gibson is he's said some really, really, really horrible things, inexcusably horrible things. And if he was in this film, I wouldn't have come to see it. But he directed it. Therefore, I just had to park how I felt about his beliefs, his misogyny, his anti-Semitism, and just enjoy 90 minutes of a quite silly, over-the-top action film. And I did enjoy it. And this is the tricky thing. I wasn't going to watch it. It's called Flight Risk. It's got Mark Wahlberg in it, and it's directed by Mel Gibson. I was like, I can give this one a swerve. However, as I often do when I'm looking for a benchmark or a standard, will I enjoy this? The reviews I tend to look for are the Empire reviews. I don't read Empire magazine anymore. I used to subscribe to it years ago, but I kind of trust them to be kind of on the same wavelength as me when it comes to stuff that I might enjoy. So if the Empire review is good, I'll give it a go. And they gave this 3 stars. And do you know what? I've just watched it. I totally get it. It's really entertaining. It's like a 90s film. Apart from the soundtrack isn't, but everything else about it has fairly 90s sensibilities. It's really entertaining. It's set in a tiny little plane. The majority of the film, 90 minutes of it, is inside a tiny little plane. It's so small, the guy being transported, he's a witness, he's turned, so, right, okay, cycle back. Topher Grace plays Winston. He has been working for a mob boss as an accountant, and he's basically been tracked down in Alaska by a US Marshal to be brought in, and he said, yes, fine, I want to do a deal, I'll talk. They're obviously trying to bring down this mob boss. His name is Moretti, which is a proper old school mob boss type name. And yeah, so that's it. This US Marshal, Madeline Harris, I didn't recognise the actress and I should have looked her name up and I didn't. It is her job to bring him in. So the two of them get on this tiny little plane, which Topher Grace's character describes as a kite with seatbelts. And along comes the pilot with a southern drawl and a baseball cap on backwards. And what do you know? It's Mark Wahlberg. He introduces himself as Daryl Booth, and up they go. And they're flying 90 minutes to Anchorage to then transport to get to get Winston to where he needs to be a witness in this trial against Moretti. That's your plot. It becomes apparent fairly early doors that Mark Wahlberg is in fact not Daryl Booth. He is an assassin and he's a massive creep. Like, he's a bad dude. He's a bad guy. Not only is it his job to kill the US Marshal and the witness, but he's going to really enjoy it. And he's going to do bad things to them. He's not a nice dude. He's also, it turns out, bald underneath the baseball cap. He's got like a big bald patch. And I don't know why that decision was made to give him a bald patch. It does actually make him look creepier. Yeah, creepy. So that's it. It's the three of them in a plane, and will they make it and will they not? And is there a mole? And Topher Grace is brilliant as Winston. He's very nervous. He won't stop talking. The humour in the film comes from him. There is bursts of quite intense and awful violence, and it's quite tense. So you've got violence, tension, pockets of humour. 3 people in a plane. There's hardly any other characters in it. And that's kind of your lot. But it's really fun. The performances are good. Mark Wahlberg does a really good, absolutely terrifying baldy assassin guy who is far too excited about the prospect of, like I say, doing awful things to these two and then killing them, or killing them and then doing awful things to them. Who knows which order he's going to do it in. But he's a bad guy. Bad guy. But yeah, it's really entertaining. Does exactly what it says on the tin. And you're kind of rooting for Winston and Deputy Harris to survive, and that's that. But I still kind of hate myself a little bit because Mel Gibson directed it, and I don't think he should be allowed to work in Hollywood anymore because he's horrible. His views are abhorrent. And like I say, I couldn't enjoy it. I can't go back. I couldn't watch a Lethal Weapon film again. I used to really like them. He's been in loads of other stuff that I liked. And, you know, a film he directed a few years ago, Hacksaw Ridge with Andrew Garfield, I've never got around to seeing and I really want to watch. And I hope he's not actually in that one. I don't think he is. But it's an artist thing. What do you do? How do you separate the two? How do you enjoy the work of somebody whose views are awful? How much does it matter? So it was a tricky one, but I am glad I watched it. And part of the reason why I watched it is because the cinema closes tomorrow. So yeah, it was very entertaining, silly, 90-minute throwaway. I'll probably never think about it again, apart from the guilt of, you know, watching a Mel Gibson film. But other than that, yeah, tip-top, enjoyed it. Back tomorrow for a final performance. Thanks for listening. Katie out.